of all trades that have the ability to change the entire WNBA, it is the Kelsey Plum trade that really, really does. Like, Kelsey Plum has the ability to change who wins the title this year, because there are a couple of really interesting teams, like that could trade for Kelsey Plum and go into title contention. For me, the most obvious, we are going to trade for Kelsey Plum, and it's going to help us win a title, is the Golden State Valkyries. You give up Tip Hayes and Jacite, and you get her plus salary. You get Kelsey Plum plus something. Plus whatever salary, fucking Ji-Yoon Park or something. Jacite, and I've talked plenty about how the trade destination for Caitlin Clark would be obvious for being the, with it being the Valkyries. But if we're being real, this does the same thing. This does the same thing for the Valkyries as trading for Caitlin Clark would have. And we're at the stage now where I'm like, okay, if you give the Valkyries Kelsey Plum, I think they pretty much go into the we are probably the best team in the league category. Like, they become my favorites, because I don't think there's been a team other than Minnesota that have been outstanding this year. Like, the Valkyries and the Fever have the same problems. I have the opposite problems. The Valkyries are one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, but they don't have a one. They don't have a one. They don't have a star. They don't have great offense. The Indiana Fever are the greatest scoring team of all time. And they both, I don't think, have enough to win it. The Valks are not going to win without a star. They're just not. They are straight up just not going to win without a star. And maybe, if you're the Golden State Valkyries, you're thinking, okay, what we're not going to do is we can get Kelsey Plum in free agency. So we're not going to give up any assets for Kelsey Plum. Which is why I think that Jacite makes sense from the perspective of the Golden State Valkyries. Why do I think Jacite makes sense? Jacite just hasn't done anything. Like, I think them protecting Jacite over Carla Late is a regret in hindsight. I just think Jacite is just not their is not the player that they envisioned, and I think she might have to go somewhere else, because they're trying to play her as this off-ball player, and she's a big guard. But another team for Kelsey Plum that'd be really interesting, and there's a very, very obvious trade, and it's one where Kelsey Plum can then sign for 2 more years on a max without having to worry too much about it, because I don't foresee Citron or Kiki making an all-WNBA team. It's the Washington Mystics. Like, the Mystics have been really good, especially since they decide. Like, I don't think people understand. The Mystics, after about 10 games and realized the Sky were terrible, decided, okay, we're going to go for this, because initially they were trying to tank. Like, Sydney Johnson was going 5 on, 5 off. They were trying to shamelessly tank. Like, they were literally out there throwing games. And then they decided, okay, we're going to try win. Because they saw the Sky were doing bad because they held a pick swap with the Sky. And you then have the Mystics now, who are 14 and 12, who are a half a game off 7, who are only like, if you add Kelsey Plum to that team, suddenly you're looking at a team that's, in my opinion, Dallas Wings level. I think they're Dallas Wings level. What's Sydney Taylor's value? Untradeable. She's on a 4-year minimum contract. Untradeable. Sydney Taylor's value due to her ability and her contract is fucking Paige Bueckers. Like the Sky wouldn't do a straight up Sydney Taylor for AZ Foot trade because of that contract. Like, that is, Sydney Taylor's one of the 5 highest value contracts in the league. But I do feel like Kelsey Plum, her trade has the ability to swing things, because I think, again, if you're the Sparks, you're too far off the playoffs. You're 4 games off the playoffs. Kelsey Plum's missing at least another week of the season. So you're playing in that week. You're probably, before she comes back, you're probably losing another 2 games. You're already out of the playoffs, essentially, then. You're probably out of the playoffs. And if you're Kelsey Plum, it's like, okay, now we have a situation where this is a obvious situation. Is an obvious, we need to get off her. If she's going to leave LA, I mean, the Sparks know they need to get off her. And if I'm the LA Sparks, especially with the fact that you've only got 1 more year on Cam Brink's rookie deal, I'm looking at tearing it down. I don't think that Atkins or Neck are negative assets. I think De'Erica Hamby's a negative asset. Like, I think De'Erica Hamby is tough, but the thing is, they're all on long-term deals. You have the off-season to trade them. They're a lot easier to trade during the season. Like, you could trade Cam Brink for the 7th pick in next year's draft in January, while teams have all the cap room. It becomes much easier then. So it's not the biggest thing in the world, but I do think in general, when it comes to players where that really a team that should be tearing it down, I do feel like the Sparks are going to do it, and I think the Kelsey Plum trade is a really obvious one. I would be shocked. I think I really, really would be shocked if Kelsey Plum doesn't end up being traded at some stage anyway. Because, well, to some team, because it just makes no sense. Like, imagine if you kept Kelsey Plum, an injured Kelsey Plum, and with an injured Kelsey Plum, what do you get? You get nothing. You get nothing. You're going nowhere. You're not doing anything. The team was a complete failure. The Ariel Atkins trade might be one of the dumbest things the team has done. And I liked Ariel Atkins. I genuinely was so high on Ariel Atkins coming out of that 2024 season. She was so good that year. And Atkins is somebody who has been a starter on championship teams, who was the youngest Olympian, who, by the way, is like the same age as Sabrina. She's the same age as Sabrina. She's younger than Kelsey Plum. She's the same age as Jackie Young. And she was the one who made the 2021 Olympics team. None of them. It wasn't Sabrina. It wasn't Jackie Young. It was the youngest player on that team was Ariel Atkins. Like, she was the young guard they brought. She was the one who made that team at 24 years old. It was Ariel Atkins made the last Olympics team prior to that. So it's like, for me, she made sense. It made sense for Chicago to do what they did. It made no sense to give Chicago the bailout and give them Rickea Jackson. I don't give a shit that the analytics think Rickea Jackson's terrible at basketball. Analytics think an awful lot of 1As are terrible at basketball, by the way. An awful lot of 1A guards, analytics will tell you suck at basketball. And yeah, the Sparks just got it. They just got to make the trade. And for Kelsey Plum, if she ends up on the Mystics long term, the Mystics don't need Lauren Betts. They really don't. Like, it makes a lot of sense just to get off Betts. It really does. And then suddenly you've now got a Kelsey Plum long term. That could be insane. That just could be insane.